When it comes to human motivation, we're generally more motivated to do something about pain that we're really feeling rather than if we didn't have pain at all. So you might think in this case, inner peace is really just soft and fluffy. It's really intangible. That feeling of calm, peacefulness and tranquility, it comes and goes and it's just so challenging to maintain. So why bother? I'm here to share with you that lack of inner peace and lack of mental well-being is a lot of bother. You see, peace also has teeth to it and can really bite. So what that means is that when we don't have that inner peace, then the result is that we could be getting a real, tangible and painful imprint from the bite. So let's have a look at the effects of this from both the peace and mental well-being perspective. Lack of peace is showing up all around the world. The pandemic has posed a serious threat to humanity, and we are experiencing such high levels of stress and uncertainty these days that it's resulting in more non-peaceful behaviors and actions that are occasionally replicated in other parts of the world. So this is clearly creating some kind of ripple effect that's going to have an impact on our health, our society, the economy. And my question is humanity posing a threat to itself? And here's what Alexia Mikels has to say to business leaders out there.
Peace of mind supports creativity and allows reflection. And this is what leaders greatly need in order to address the numerous challenges of a complex world. Conscious and calm leaders will take much better decisions and be far more inspiring for their teams.
According to a recent United Nations policy brief, mental health is one of the most neglected areas of health. Take a look at some of the statistics here to see for yourself. You'd agree that they're pretty dismal, right? And guess what? That was before COVID. And now, with COVID, it looks as though mental health issues are going to be the next emerging pandemic if we don't address them soon enough. I spoke to Professor Gerard Bodeker about new research findings in this area.
All of the research coming out on COVID shows that people who have had a coronavirus condition, more than 50% of them suffer from psychological effects afterwards, and some of this is neurological. For people under lockdown, women, children, single-parent families are the ones who are most affected by mental health issues.
Although those who've had COVID or who are in at-risk groups are particularly vulnerable right now, any one of us in the general population could also be exhibiting mental health symptoms. These exist on a continuum, which means that on any given day, we could be feeling mild, limiting distress to, in really extreme cases, debilitating and somewhat painful symptoms. Do you know what some of these classic symptoms of mental health issues might be? Take a look at this table. We can see how negative states of mental well-being affect not only ourselves, but the people around us and the wider society. The pandemic has triggered an increase in unconstructive thoughts and emotions that are resulting in non-peaceful behaviors and actions. Our collective response is leading humanity into the quicksands of distress. Our collective response is showing a disconnect with our fundamental human values, our strive for peace. Our collective response is unsustainable. I'm going to go as far as to say it's a dysfunction. In 1952, a group of scientists observed monkeys on a Japanese island. They fed the monkeys with sweet potatoes that had been dropped in the sand. The monkeys liked the sweet potatoes, but not the dirty sand. An 18-month-old female monkey found a solution. She started washing the potatoes in a nearby stream. She started teaching her mother and playmates, who taught each other. 6 years later, all young monkeys and their parents who imitated their children learned to wash the potatoes. This potato washing activity spread until one day the 100th monkey learned to wash potatoes. Then an even more amazing thing happened. The scientists observed that colonies of monkeys on other islands spontaneously began washing their sweet potatoes. Moral of the story? When a certain critical number of beings achieves an awareness, this new awareness can be picked up by others, mentally or telepathically. It all started with one baby monkey. Remember when Princess Diana passed away? Millions around the world grieved, and that sense of grief was palpable in the air. What do these examples show us? They show that when something, whether it's a belief, behavior, emotion, idea or trend, is held with firm conviction and enthusiasm by one or a few people, it can soon spread to others who, if they hold it with such deep conviction and enthusiasm and passion as well, it's going to spread like wildfire. Researchers have found that if a population emphatically embraces an idea, then sooner or later it's going to spread to the masses. And what's the percentage of the population that's needed to really embrace an idea for it to spread like wildfire? Cognitive scientists have found it only takes 10%. And in reality, many believe that ideas start to spread widely even under 10%. So we might think, during the lockdown for example, that it was a jolly good idea to start stocking up on toilet roll because it started in another part of the world. And we might start doing that because we feel that we just don't want to be missing out. Hey, and if one person in the world can have such a big impact on everyone else, I better start watching what I'm thinking, how I'm feeling, and what I'm doing.
If I am to change this image, I must first change myself.
If each of us are motivated to make an impact, what do we need to know to grow the ingredients for peace? If I may, I'm going to share with you from my own personal experience. I enjoy good health, feel energetic and well, and although my mood and energy does change from day to day, I have not had a single sick day in over 10 years. But it wasn't always like that. Over 10 years ago, I had made a switch in my midlife from being a lawyer to becoming a management consultant. I soon found myself leading a project on a major transformation program for a client, and then working 15-hour days, day in, day out. Imagine how you would feel if you were doing 15-hour days with a 3-hour round-trip commute every day. I got home at midnight one day and sank exhausted on my bathroom floor. It was then that I made a plea. I said, whoever's listening, please send me a sign that this isn't working anymore. Something's got to change. The following morning, I woke up to intense, excruciating pain all down my neck, shoulders, arms, down my back. I could hardly move. The doctor diagnosed severe RSI. Imagine not being able to lift a mug with both hands, let alone a mobile phone, a BlackBerry in those days. How would that feel? And how would it feel to receive a prognosis from your doctor that your condition is the most severe he's ever seen and you're never going to recover? So you're destined for a life of intense, excruciating pain. My whole career flashed past and I had no clue what to do because it wasn't going to be possible to continue doing the work that I was doing. In the depths of despair, I began to self-reflect. I could easily blame the others around me for contributing to the situation, get angry with them. I could easily sink into further distress, feeling really pitiful, powerless and helpless, victim of circumstances. And I could also rely totally on the physios that were helping relieve my pain. But what good would that do? Then I started to see the drama triangle playing out in my life. Rather than stay a victim, I could flip the triangle, convert the negativity into a constructive energy that I could pump in to create a more meaningful way of life when the old way doesn't work anymore. Rather than blame others, I saw them as challenging me to see the lessons learned from the experience and catalyze change in a more meaningful direction. Rather than depend on my physios entirely for pain relief, I could tap into many other pathways around to accelerate my path towards full recovery of my health. I saw a stark choice: sink into the quicksands of distress and despair, or flip the drama triangle around so that I could start creating the life that I want to live. Remember when I put out a plea for something to change? Well, I very quickly realized that the only thing or person I could change was myself. So I decided to get myself out of that spiral of distress, and in doing so, I uncovered the secrets to regaining my health and gaining optimum well-being. This is what I'm about to share with you today. My blueprint, secrets to optimum well-being, and I'll also give you the opportunity to have a taste of inner peace. My blueprint, Secrets of Optimum Wellbeing, is based on the input, process, output model. At the heart is the process. In our body is like the central processing unit, CPU, of a computer. That's made up of the mind, which holds memories, thoughts and beliefs, and the heart, which feels emotions. Brain and heart are constantly talking to each other. Heart math researchers found that our heart is the most powerful source of electromagnetic energy in the human body. Compared with the brain, they found that the heart's electrical field is 60 times greater, and the magnetic field is over 100 times stronger. And did you know that when we build up love, compassion and kindness in our heart, this helps us to regulate our stress, anxiety, emotional experience, and ping, gain clarity. So our heart is our own potent energy generator. If we can tap into that powerhouse of heart energy, that's got huge transformative power and can regulate our whole experience. Here are 3 ways to enhance our CPU. First, through mind work, through detoxing the mind, focusing on the present, journeying inwards. Second, through heart work, building love, compassion and kindness. Third, through quality inputs. We take in sources of energy through our body, microenvironment, or from external sources, the macroenvironment. In our body, we allow energy in through our 5 sense organs, what we smell, taste, see, touch, hear or speak, and when we move or relax our body. External sources of energy could be from spirituality and values, people around us, nature, people-created stuff such as technology and buildings, and work and finances. But beware, not all input sources are good for our CPU, so the higher the quality of inputs we feed into our CPU, the more robust it becomes. Poor quality inputs, when constantly pumped in, over time, exhausts our CPUs and the performance goes down. Most human CPUs are not strong enough yet to take the strain of continuous low energy inputs. Outputs. Robust CPUs combined with high quality inputs create peace, mental and overall well-being, and has a good impact on society. Weak CPUs create the opposite effect, creates distress for ourselves. Remember, critical mass theory. Our thoughts, emotions and behaviors feed, i.e. become inputs for people around us. If it's high energy outputs we're putting out there, that's amazing. If not, that might deplete other people's CPUs and have a domino effect on society. So it's in all our interests to start upgrading our CPUs, be more mindful of what inputs we're pumping into our bodies and what we're putting out there into the world. Many of us are experiencing grief, pain or distress at the moment. And I acknowledge that it's totally normal to take time to process our emotions and register what's going on in a turbulent period for the world. I have had a share of pain and also mourned the loss of loved ones. This blueprint model is really our opportunity, the opportunity for humanity to press the reset button when we feel ready and are willing to commit to it, so that we can take steps towards regaining our health and well-being, and then go further to achieve inner peace and peace for the world. So it's really time to reimagine the possible.
It's time to see what I can do.
Our mind interprets what it sees based on past experiences and the stories we tell ourselves. This also triggers emotions in us, which can cause us to react or behave in different ways than other people who are faced with the same situation. Take a look at this picture. What do you see? Take a closer look. Are you sure? Really? How do you feel? Some of you might have seen this, and some of you might have seen this. Did seeing the picture trigger positive, negative, or neutral emotions for you? How did it affect your sense of peace? Did anyone get fearful? What did we learn from this? We learned that distorted perceptions can trigger a whole load of emotions based on our past unresolved experiences and trauma, and then that causes us to jump to conclusions about the situation before us that leads to the wrong behaviors and can disrupt our relationships and cause the wrong actions. So what? So if dysfunction starts from the mind, let's go into the mind and start working from there. There are 3 powerful techniques we can apply. First is detoxing the mind. What's going on in terms of unconstructive thoughts in there? What are we worried about? Let's reflect on what we can do, maybe with the help of someone else, like a coach. And then if there's something to be done, then let's go and do it. If nothing can be done, then it's time to let it go.
Let it go, let it go.
Second technique, focusing on the present. We can do that through a range of breathing and meditation techniques. I have been honored to study the deeper teachings of yoga with my teacher, Gary Krafso. Here's what Gary has to share.
And the one practical thing that everyone can do to help them come into the present more fully is to learn how to explore their own breath and the relationship between their breath and their autonomic nervous system and their emotional balance.
Practicing breathing techniques will help to calm the mind, regulate emotions. It will also help to boost our immunity and enable us to tap into inner peace. It's nature's gift to us. So what are we waiting for? Third technique, journeying inwards. Did you know that meditation can also be used to transform our mind and our lives if we are prepared to do the inner work?
The yogic science for establishing mental health is very much connected to understanding the art and science of meditation. Meditation isn't just about creating focus. In fact, it begins with that, but directing that to then surface our patterns, our dysfunctional patterns that we've acquired since childhood, so that we can become free of them. So self-reflective meditation is lacking in the world today, and people are much more externally oriented, looking for fulfillment in the world of name and form outside, rather than doing the work of surfacing what their own sources of suffering are. And we feel that the beginning of peace is individual, and everybody needs to do that work so they can become free of their own suffering. And that's the art and science of meditation.
We can all do that reflection work ourselves. However, are you facing challenges of a foggy, overwhelmed, or perhaps dull mind these days? Are you finding it challenging to focus and think clearly to make informed, conscious choices? Would it help to work with a guide to navigate you through your inner journey? If so, reach out to someone that resonates with you to support you. Can you think of any individuals or groups that have gone through severe challenges and yet still exude loving kindness and compassion? What can you learn from them? And what can you do to generate more loving kindness and compassion for yourself and others? Here are some examples of practices that are good for the heart. What else can you think of? My blueprint gives us a framework to raise awareness about the different ways in which our body is absorbing energy from around us. We can become more mindful of what we're taking in and whether it's nourishing us. When we bombard our senses with negative inputs, that's going to depress energy levels and tax our CPUs. When we get sucked into drama and start spreading it, we're exposing our body and CPUs to yet another bad dose of energy as we get even more upset by it. However, when we can really nourish and replenish our senses through making discerning choices, then we start to refuel our energy and boost our CPUs. Take a look at what nature does for us, how it's such a potent force of energy generator for us. Why is that? Because the fresh, clean energy from nature and our environment nourishes all our 5 senses and our body. And that's why when we don't respect nature and mistreat it, we start contaminating our own very potent source of energy. And that has an adverse impact on our health and sense of peace. We can be mindful of how and how much we're using technology. Overconsumption can drain our energy, cause injury, like it did in my case, and affect our bodies. However, if we're smart about using technology, it can also help us improve our CPUs. There's a proliferation in live-streamed classes, fitness, meditation, and other health apps these days. Personally, I'm very excited about scaling and leveraging technology to support us in advancing our mental health and overall well-being. So how can we become more discerning about the daily choices we're making? Here are some wise words from Yilei Lau in New Zealand.
Choosing choices for you. Choosing choices that make your heart sing. Choice by choice, moment by moment.
Yoga is one of my favorite choices. And did you know that therapeutic yoga practices out there can help us to alleviate stress, anxiety, and depression? Dancing is another. It's so important to keep moving these days. And when we move to uplifting music, that also lifts our mood. What makes your heart sing? And how can you be doing more of that? Here are some inspiring words from Daryl Yap.
With the right mindset, attitude, and training, you can make what seems impossible, possible. It's all about changing your perspective on the world. If you are able to manage your thoughts well, you'll be able to lead a better life. At the end of the day, the only limitations are the ones that you give yourself.
So it's really about cultivating a right mindset, developing a right attitude, and training ourselves to make small constructive changes every day. As you go about your daily life, start becoming more aware of each of the input sources on my blueprint. Pay attention to what nourishes you. What are you able to start doing, do more of, or do less of? What daily choices make your heart sing? If you'd like to look up some evidence-based quality inputs to inspire you in making your choices, I really recommend taking a look at this chapter that Professor Boddicker and his team have just produced. COVID taught us that an invisible force can rock our world. We weren't prepared, and there will be further challenges. Now, mental health is the top priority. We've been warned. How can we be prepared?
You just deal with your current problem right in front of your face, and that's it. You do whatever you can.
Why do we brush our teeth every day? To avoid the pain of going to a dentist. Likewise, we can start constructing daily habits to help our mental and overall well-being as well as gain peace of mind. So, here are my 5 top tips. Use our peace gaugeometer, bake our peaceful mind cake, upgrade our CPUs through heart-mind practices, mind our inputs and mind our outputs. Remember, critical mass effect. Why now? To address the escalating mental health issues that are affecting our overall health and functioning. It takes time to heal, restore, and reset so that we can start from a clean slate. When we've done that, then it's about optimizing our well-being so that we can shore up our defenses against future challenges. And then it's also about curbing the domino effect of undesirable actions out there in the world. Last, not least, to cultivate world peace. here's the ugly truth. We may not have another 100 years.
Wake up! Come on!
What if the pandemic is challenging us to examine our dysfunction, to heal and restore? What if our healthcare workers are guiding us to optimize our well-being, to relieve pressure from our healthcare system? What if this is our opportunity to recreate a legacy? Just like the phoenix has to burst into flames to rise from ashes, just like mothers have to go through excruciating pains to birth a child, what if we're going through birth pangs to birth a new, better humanity? What if this is our last call to action? It's time to make real the promises of peace. It's time to rise from the dark and desolate valley of chaos to the sunlit path of world peace. It's time to lift our world from the quicksands of distress to the solid rock of peace of mind. It's time to make peace a reality for all on earth. It's time for us, every single one of us, to heed the call. Are you ready? We've come to the end of our time together. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. Now, I promised you the opportunity to access instant peace earlier, and you may also be curious about some of the other amazing tools in my own personal optimal well-being toolkit. The tools that I've used to recover from a prognosis of lifelong pain and suffering, and that I continue to use every day to optimize my well-being and gain inner peace. So, inspired by our monkey friends, I thought it would be really fun to conduct a human experiment if enough of you feel committed and enthusiastic about bringing greater well-being and peace into your own lives. Here's what I can do. I can create an 11-day global peace challenge if 111 of you are interested in it. So, over the course of 11 consecutive days, I can share with you one tool for my own personal toolkit. Each tool only takes 11 minutes of your time. So, 11 tools over 11 days. These are secret tools for my own personal toolkit that I've never shared with anyone before. However, I'm only willing to run this challenge if, and only if, at least 111 of you sign up for it. I'm willing to offer this to you for free as my contribution to world peace. All I ask of you is that during these 11 days, you commit to spreading love, peace, compassion, and kindness to all around you. Do it in a way that suits you, as long as you stay safe yourselves. Now, I'm only willing to run this global peace challenge if at least 111 of you sign up for it. So, if you're interested to take further steps towards greater well-being and peace, take action right away. Sign up on the website below, and I hope to see you soon.